Joining us now is Matt Gorman, Communications Director for the National Republican Congressional Committee. So give us a sense, Matt, of what you're making so far. Early with Virginia, we do know that the Democrats have been able to take that with the governor. But going forward, does that signal concern?
It's really, the story is no surprises as of yet. We know that Spanberger is going to have kind of a long kind of runway. I'm curious to see if her coattails can pull Jay Jones over the line. That really was the only mystery to me going into tonight. I'm also watching very closely New Jersey. As Rick pointed out, that was such a swing towards Trump. If Ciattarelli can keep it to around the Kamala Harris margin, 5 to 7 points, that I think I would expect Republicans to start investing there in preparation of maybe 2028. But again, only if that margin is that 5 to 7 points. But other than that, seems like everything was going as expected so far.
Are you concerned at all that a number of Democrats have been able to seemingly campaign primarily as a referendum on President Trump?
Not necessarily in these states. I think, as John pointed out at the start of the coverage, these are away games. I mean, look, it's no surprise that in these sort of blue states, these would resonate. Also, both of these states have among the highest population of college-educated voters. And in the Trump era, that is becoming increasingly the Democratic base. Now, again, what I'm watching are those Latino voters like in Passaic County. I know for a fact where I live in Northern Virginia, liberal turnout, Democratic turnout was off the charts. But can we do a little bit better kind of in the Hampton Roads area? I'm very curious to see about that. I think that would have the key for the Jay Jones-Miyares race for Attorney General there.
You mentioned Jay Jones. Anything else that you're watching in particular tonight?
The last thing I'm watching is Ken Mamdani in New York, once the polls close there at 9 p.m. Eastern. Can he get to a majority? I'd be very curious there. If he can, maybe he can claim a mandate to the city council and Governor Hochul up in Albany to enact some more of his agenda.
Any idea why President Trump took such an interest in the mayoral race here in New York City?
I think certainly it's his hometown. Certainly no surprise there. But also, look, I think he likes a foil. Him endorsing Cuomo, I think, said less about Cuomo, but also elevating Mamdani. It is a gift to our party to have someone like Mamdani as mayor of New York and also the media capital of the world. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of Mamdani over the next year or so in Republican commercials and TV ads as we go into the midterm elections. So elevating him, providing a foil for both Trump, but candidly also Mamdani in Trump benefits both of them.
All right, Matt Gorman, thank you so much for your time and insight. Really appreciate it. I want to stay there with Mamdani, with the race for mayor of New York City. Many people have suggested, even when I had a chance to talk with Curtis Lewa, he said that he had been offered $10 million to get out of the race, yet he stayed. A number of people were concerned that he would split the vote and potentially cause Mamdani to win, which is what Donald Trump has said, which is what Andrew Cuomo has said. Is there any there?
I mean, I think there really is. And I think that Matt put something that we should all be watching. Does Mamdani get to over 50% of the vote? Mm-hmm. If he's below 50% of the vote, you know, first of all, it will be harder for him to claim the mandate. He needs not just to bring the city council along, he needs the governor, he needs the state legislature, because, you know, New York City depends a lot on what happens in Albany. So that's a big factor. And then the other thing, just in terms of Mamdani as this national figure and this leader for the Democratic Party, you have to think 50% is one marker. Does he get to more than 50%? The other marker, which he's clearly not going to get to, is 68%. 68% is the percentage of votes that Kamala Harris got in New York last year, in a campaign where she lost decisively in the presidential election. So, you know, you'll hear a lot from moderate Democrats, establishment Democrats, to push back a little bit on the idea that the party is now Mamdani's party, that that's the direction they have to go. They'll say, wait a minute, this guy ran in New York City, he won, great campaign, but he didn't even do anywhere near as well as Kamala Harris did. He didn't even do as well as Eric Adams did when he won in 2021. He got, I think it was 66% of the vote. Now, obviously, it's a three-person race. It's harder to get to that level. But I think that the overall turnout in the city will be a big measure, and the margin of victory, if he wins, for Mamdani.
And to that point, I mean, it would be a huge win for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, obviously, but depending on how big that margin is, there are lots of questions about how it translates from New York City to, say, suburban areas of other political battlegrounds when you look ahead to the midterms, right? Just how far can you take any lessons that are learned here? And yes, so much of that depends on the margin. And to John's point, if Mamdani wins, in order to get his agenda passed, a lot of it does rely on raising taxes in order to pay for things like, free childcare and other things like that. You're going to need to have Albany on board and a governor on board in order to do that.
And we've heard Donald Trump threaten that if Mamdani wins, he would pull federal funding to the tune of about $7 billion from New York City.
Yeah, and he has made very clear that if Mamdani wins, he is going to cut off a lot of the federal cash flow to the city.